You opened your eyes, and there they were, watching. Not barking, not moving, just quietly watching. Maybe it felt strange. Maybe you laughed, wondering what they were thinking. But that stillness, that gaze, it wasn't random. It wasn't boredom. And it definitely wasn't just curiosity. Dogs don't stare without reason, especially not at the people they love most. Because while you sleep, vulnerable, unaware, defenseless, they choose to stay awake, not out of habit, but out of instinct, loyalty, and something even deeper. In this video, we'll explore why your dog watches you sleep, what it says about their heart, and what it reveals about the quiet love you never see, but always feel. It's not about you, it's about them. We often think dogs do things to get our attention, to communicate, to express a need. But when they watch you sleep, it's not about needing something from you. It's about being something for you. Dogs come from wolves, creatures that survived in packs, taking turns resting and guarding. That instinct hasn't left them. And in your home, in your quiet room, you are their pack, their responsibility, their person. So when you close your eyes, they open theirs wider. They're not watching to be entertained. They're watching because in that moment, you can't watch for yourself. And while they may not understand what a dream is, they understand stillness. They understand breath. And they understand that when you are motionless, someone should be there to stand guard. This is their nature. But more than that, it's their choice. Because dogs don't just love you when you're awake and engaging. They love you enough to stay present, even when you have nothing to give back. And in the quiet minutes while you sleep, they become your silent protector. Not because they have to, but because that's who they are. You're vulnerable, so they stay. When you're awake, you're in control. You move, you speak, you decide. But when you're asleep, you're still, you're quiet, you're vulnerable. And your dog knows. They may not understand what sleep is, but they understand stillness. They understand that your guard is down. And so, without being told, they assume the role you didn't assign them, the quiet protector. They sit beside the bed. They lay near your feet. Sometimes they just watch, eyes soft but alert, ears tilted forward at every creak or shift in the room. Not because they're anxious, but because they're aware. They're attuned to your breath, to the way your chest rises and falls, to the sound of peace, a rhythm they want to keep undisturbed. And if something disrupts it, a strange sound outside, a flicker of light, a sudden movement, they'll be the first to notice, the first to stand between you and the world. Because dogs don't wait for danger to protect you. They do it proactively, quietly, while you sleep. You may never know the things they've stood guard against, but every night, they choose you over rest. And that's a kind of loyalty words can't fully capture. The emotional layer. Watching becomes bonding. Watching you sleep isn't just instinct. Over time, it becomes something more, a form of bonding. Dogs are deeply emotional creatures. They don't just love you when you're active. They learn to love your presence, even in stillness. When they watch you sleep, they're not looking for entertainment or movement. They're soaking in the peace of being near you. They're learning your rhythms, your breathing, tiny twitches in your fingers, the subtle sighs that escape in your dreams. And by doing so, they feel closer to you, even when you're not awake to notice. This kind of closeness is quiet. No licks, no tail wags, just presence. Still, steady, and deeply intentional. To your dog, this is connection. This is intimacy. The way you lie still, and they stay beside you, uninvited but welcome. They don't need attention. They just need proximity. And in the quiet act of watching, they're building a memory of what it feels like to be near the one they love, when everything is safe, everything is calm, and everything is okay. Because for a dog, love doesn't always look like excitement. Sometimes it looks like quiet observation and a heart full of loyalty resting right next to yours. Sometimes it's not love, it's worry. Not every stare is peaceful. Sometimes it's filled with worry. Dogs can sense when something in their world feels off. And when it comes to you, they notice everything. Maybe you've been more distant lately. Maybe your energy feels heavier. Maybe your sleep is restless, your breathing shallow, your body tense even in stillness. And so they watch, not because they're afraid of you, but because they're afraid for you. Some dogs have separation anxiety. Some carry the trauma of being abandoned. Others just love so deeply that even one night of sadness in your voice makes them stay close and alert. They check if you're still breathing. They reposition themselves to be even closer. They tilt their head, trying to read signals you're not even aware you're giving off. And if you move too suddenly, they may flinch, not out of fear, but out of readiness to protect, to understand, to help. In those moments, their watching becomes more than instinct. It becomes devotion under pressure. You sleep, but they stay, not just out of habit, but because something in them refuses to rest until they're sure you're okay. The spiritual side. Is it something deeper? Some people believe dogs see more than we do, not just with their eyes, but with something deeper. There are stories of dogs who won't leave the side of someone who's sick, even before a diagnosis. Of dogs who cry silently at the door the moment a loved one passes miles away. Of dogs who sit, unmoving, by a hospital bed, long after hope has faded. Is it science? Is it spirit? Does it matter? What we do know is this: dogs are attuned to our energy, to shifts in our body, to changes in our breath and heart rate that we don't even register. And some say they're also attuned to the spaces around us, the silences, the invisible weight we carry, the things we hide behind closed eyes. When your dog watches you sleep, maybe they're not just watching your body. Maybe they're watching over your spirit. Maybe they're standing between you and something they can feel, even if you can't. And whether you believe in energy, instinct, or something more mystical, what matters most is that they're there, fully, faithfully, unquestionably. Because some love doesn't ask for proof, it just stays. What you can do in return. They never asked for this job. They never signed up to be your protector, your guardian, your silent companion. But they took it, and they do it every night without fail. So what can you do for them? You don't need to buy new toys. You don't need fancy treats. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to see them. In the morning, when you catch them staring, don't look away. Smile, say their name. Let them know, I noticed you were there, and I'm grateful. Throughout the day, make space for their loyalty. Don't brush off their closeness. Let them lie near. Let them follow you. Let them belong. And at night, before sleep takes you, reach down, one soft stroke, one whisper, 1 second of acknowledgement to thank the heart that beats beside yours, even when you're not awake to feel it. Because while they may not understand words like thank you, they understand tone, they understand presence, and they understand love when it's offered quietly, without noise, but with meaning. Just like they've been doing for you. You close your eyes, you drift into dreams, and somewhere near, they stay. Not to be noticed, not to be praised, just to be there. Because to your dog, love isn't loud. It isn't always playful or messy or full of motion. Sometimes it's stillness, it's watching, it's choosing to stay awake while the one they love lets go. You may never see what they've protected you from. You may never hear the thoughts behind their quiet eyes, but they're there, night after night, not because they have to, but because they want to. And maybe that's the purest kind of love there is. So tonight, when you fall asleep, remember this: you're not alone. Someone is watching, not to judge, not to worry, but simply to love you, the way only a dog can, with everything in silence.